Hello, my name is Kirioth, and you joined me for a nice little late night video, probably a bit of a shorter one than usual, but frankly I saw this gigantic, amazing monstrosity, and, well, I wanted to talk about it because look at it. This is a brand new Space Marine Super Heavy tank. This is a nice little leaked photo which I was directed to on Reddit. The poster was used by the name of Kitane, and as is traditional with all leaked images, it is of course a picture of a picture, more accurately a picture of a entry in probably White Dwarf or something, and as such it is low res as hell and kind of blurry and with weird light reflections, because that's just how leaked pictures work, as you well know. Games Workshop stuff cannot be photographed properly unless Games Workshop do it, because there's some sort of weird like interference thing that emanates from the pages of White Dwarf that prevent people from capturing images properly until it's time for those images to be released officially. So this, we don't know what it's called, no idea, but it is massive. It is also, I suspect, a Forge World tank. A big indicator for that is the paint job. It has got Red Scorpions livery, and Red Scorpions are of course Forge World's pet Space Marine chapter. Generally speaking, I say generally speaking, I can't remember ever seeing a Red Scorpions like livery entry on the normal Games Workshop site when you're looking through the Space Marine stuff. I've only ever seen it on Forge World. That's one fairly big indicator that it's Forge World. Another fairly big indicator for me is that, now I've seen a couple of people say that the front of it is just a repulsor, like they've cut a repulsor off in the middle and then built out of it with a couple of modifications. I don't think any of this is going to be using the repulsor kit, to be honest with you. Maybe a couple of panels and that's it. When you put them side by side, and I've tried to match the angle on the repulsor to this, whatever the hell it is. We'll call it the Land Factory, because that's what it reminds me of from Supreme Commander, really heavily for some reason. Land Factory didn't even have a giant turret on top, so I don't know where I got that from, but there you go. You can see the influences in terms of the style, but that is not the front of a repulsor. That's something that has been made completely separate by the look of things. It also gives you a good idea of the scale. Oh yeah, also this is going to be Primaris only. I'd be shocked, very, very shocked, if this was usable by normal Space Marines. Again, that just comes down to the fact that it's got these repulsor grav plate generator things all over it. Don't know the technical name for them, but you know what they are. Big metal things all over the bottom. That'll do. That to me indicates it's going to be Primaris only. So Primaris only, Forge World, which inevitably means resin, and massive. Now the scale of it is a little bit tricky to tell. Again, if you kind of look at the repulsor, if we match the Imperial Eagle Aquila thingy on the front, it's damn huge. You can also use the heavy bolters on the very front for reference as well. It looks to me to be quite a bit bigger than, and I'm using this as an example, the Mastodon Heavy Assault Transport. To me that looks to be bigger than that, and that is a pretty damn big model. It's colossal, and this looks bigger, which is both impressive and worrying in terms of what it's going to do to your wallet, if indeed it is, as I suspect, Forge World. Actually, let's talk about the weapons briefly. So we can pretty clearly see a twin-linked heavy bolter on the very front of this thing. The side weapons, I'll be honest, I can't really make out what those are. I had a couple of ideas, most of which are probably going to turn out to be completely incorrect. At first, I thought maybe it was some variation of a Volkite weapon, like as what you get on the Achilles Alpha Pattern Land Raider. Then I thought, well, it doesn't really match the profile of that weapon. Is it some sort of melter weapon? Could be some sort of melter weapon, but it doesn't really match the profile of a melter weapon either, if we're honest. Current guess for me is twin-linked las cannon of some description. It doesn't really match any of the current designs for Space Marine twin-linked las cannons. It's impossible to tell whether it matches the repulsor one, because the repulsor one is in a completely different position and in a different configuration. So, but it's sort of lacking that line that you'd expect underneath, the kind of supporting strut that you get on most las cannon models. It's kind of tricky to tell. I also thought maybe some sort of autocannon, but again, the sort of the cowling on it doesn't really make any sense for that. Although, again, kind of hard to tell because of the paint job on this one, in fact. Because it's yellow, it kind of makes it look a weird shape that maybe it isn't. But yeah, probably some sort of las cannon, las talon, something like that. The top is actually a lot easier to identify, providing they're not just taking old designs and reusing them for things that are totally different. That to me looks like a massively scaled up accelerator autocannon, the like of which you will find on the Relic Sicarian. I just loaded it up just to check. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it as well, but yeah, I mean those, I'll be honest, that matches to me. The profiles of those weapons are pretty much the same. It's kind of hard to make out whether there's any ammo drum on the back of it. Of course, this is a newer tank. If it's Primaris and it's repulsor based, then it's not going to be using exactly the same tech. It's going to be using some form of improved tech. Whether that's going to turn out to be anti-infantry or anti-vehicle, it's impossible to tell from just a picture. Now, when you say the word autocannon, I think sort of light vehicle, heavy infantry, and just anything else that's unfortunate to get in the way that isn't another tank. But then again, we've also seen some changes to the way that this stuff works anyway, you know, in regards to vehicles and rules and armour and all of that stuff, and toughness, all of that stuff has been altered, so it could well be a proper anti-tank, anti-anything gun at this stage. It could hit anything, pretty much. That is just going to be speculation, because what else are you going to do? It's obviously a souped-up accelerator autocannon, but what is Cole done with it aside from that? Who knows? I'm hoping it's a transport. If it's not a transport, that is a hell of a lot of space for not very much. You could conceivably have a much smaller tank with that particular weapon configuration on it, especially since the repulsor itself is pretty much littered with guns on every side. So if it were to just be some sort of anti-other super heavy or anti-Titan or something platform, that would be a bit of a strange choice, if I'm honest with you. It's possible, it's plausible, sort of. Everything is, when all you've got to go from is a single picture of a magazine. But yeah, that's currently my guesses. We could guesstimate price. Now, I'm going to guesstimate price based on two things. Firstly, that it is Forge World, and that Forge World is massively more expensive. We all know this. We know what the deal is. Secondly, that it is in fact bigger than the Mastodon Heavy Assault Transport, which I think is feasible. I don't think that's unrealistic. It certainly seems to be longer. I would suggest that it is probably taller as well. If you kind of compare the scale of the las cannons that might be las cannons or they might not be on the side, it's definitely heftier, and those accelerator autocannons on the top will, I mean, look at the size of them. They're bigger than anything you get on them on the Mastodon. Mastodon's is 300 quid. I'd be surprised if this was less than 350, this new super heavy tank. Obviously that is a massive guess, a massive gamble, based only on a currently existing model that is nothing like it, but that would be my guesstimation. So, Primaris only, Forge World. Red Scorpions kind of gives it away. Twin-linked heavy bolter on the front, twin-linked sort of accelerator autocannon upgrade turret on the top, possible las cannon, las talon things on the side, probably got transport capacity, and its repulsor. I think that is all reasonable, and probably on the heavier side of 350 quid. I think that's probably reasonable, but as always, what do you reckon? What do you think? Do you think the weapons sound feasible? Do you think the size is feasible? Do you think the price is feasible? Do you think it is Forge World? Let me know in the comments. I always read them, as you know, and I'm enjoying seeing what you speculate about this because, well, it's pretty damn cool. It's a bit bold, it's a bit new. It's definitely the most modern sort of design I think I've seen with regards to Space Marines for a while, and that is considering the modern approach to the Primaris themselves. This is even more weird though it sounds. This is the most sci-fi of Space Marine vehicles that I've seen thus far, which I know sounds odd because 40k is a sci-fi setting, but this is really steering far more towards what I'd describe as maybe not traditional sci-fi, but it seems to be taking cues from things like Supreme Commander and like almost like a Red Alert kind of situation. That's just the feeling I'm getting from it anyway. As I say, Let me know in the comments below. How did I make this 10 minutes long? God, I waffle on. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you for the next video. Toodaloo.